What's going on, guys? My name is Bucky Roberts and welcome to your very first tutorial in Adobe Premiere Pro. So before we even get to the good stuff of teaching you how to edit video like a pro, I want to mention this. If you're watching these videos on YouTube, make sure you're watching in full screen 1080 high def, because if you try watching it on the little YouTube player, it's not going to work. So again, make sure you're watching full screen and change your video settings to 1080 and everything is going to be crystal clear, just like you're looking at your own desktop. So anyways, before I jump into the program and open it and start slicing up some videos, I want to tell you guys this. For those of you who don't even know what Premiere Pro is, sometimes people click my videos just because they're bored at work or school or something. I better mention this. Premiere Pro is a piece of software that's used to edit video, and it's one of the best video editing programs out there. I absolutely love it. It's probably my favorite program on the computer. So what you can do is whenever you go around and shoot some film with your handy cam that you got from Best Buy, it's pretty cool and you can use it as a home movie. Or what you could do is throw on your computer, edit the video, throw some titles on it, add some special effects, adjust the audio, and turn it into an awesome movie with this program. So another thing I want to mention is that I'm going to be using the version CS 5.5, but it really doesn't matter what version you have. Some things may be a little bit different if you're using an older version, or if you're watching this video in a couple months and a newer version came out. It's okay, you're going to be able to follow along with these tutorials just fine. You may have a few more options in like one of the drop down menus for effects or something, but generally you're going to be able to follow along just fine. So let's go ahead and open up this bad boy. I'm going to go ahead and assume you have it installed on your computer already, or you probably wouldn't be watching this video. So go ahead and hit the start, all programs, and either under Adobe or Production Premium. It really depends if you bought the whole package or just Premiere Pro. Mine is under Production Premium, and look for a program called Premiere Pro, whatever version number you have. Now you can go ahead and click this and it's going to open it, or since we're going to be working with it a lot, go ahead and right click it and hit send to desktop, and what that's going to do is it's going to give you a nice pretty little icon on your desktop. So go ahead and double click that, and now this bad boy starts opening up. So the very first screen we get is pretty much, it says welcome to Adobe Premiere Pro. It's where we have to decide, do we want to open a project we already been working on or start an entirely new project. And since we probably, or at least I think that you guys never started a project before, it's probably a good idea to start from here. So new project, and now it asks us for even more stuff. The first thing I want to mention is this tab over here. Scratch this. Don't ever touch this. Adobe is a really smart company, and they already set up where they're going to store all of your files, and they set it up really good, so don't even worry about this. Another thing that's pretty cool is all this stuff, 90% of it is set up for you. Video rendering, video, and audio, they already selected what's best for you. This is like the industry standard stuff. Unless you're shooting with a really weird, I don't know, slow motion camera or something, you don't want to change any of this. The only thing that you need to worry about is this crap down here. The capture depends on what camcorder you use to shoot the footage. It's either going to be regular digital video or high def video, which is a little better quality. And if you don't know, just go ahead and either go over to your camcorder and look if it says DV or HDV, or on your box or the manual that your camcorder came with, it's going to say it on there. But figure it out and, select whatever one you want. So I shot the footage that I'm going to be working with in my tutorials with a high def camcorder, so that's why I'm going to select that. And this is pretty much saying, where do you want to store your project? Store it wherever you want. And I'm going to name this YouTube Tuts. Or YouTube. I'll just name it YouTube, Just going to wing it. Okay, so go ahead and hit OK. And now it asks us for even more crap. OMG, Premiere Pro. Come on, give us a break. But anyways, pretty much you have a bunch of preset settings that you get to choose from. Now, every camcorder is built a little bit differently in that maybe the size of the picture is a little bit different, or how many images it takes per second is a little bit different. What you need to do is you need to go through here and match up whatever preset you have with whatever your camcorder has. And again, I can't say do this or do the other because it really depends on what kind of camcorder you are filming with. But for my camcorder, I'm filming with the HDV 1080, which is the size of the frame, and 30 right here, this is the frame rate, pretty much how many pictures per second this camera is taken. So that's my setting, and I guess I might as well mention these other tabs too. You're probably never going to use this, but if you have a really weird camcorder, like 99% of the time, don't even worry about this, but if you have a really weird camcorder and you want to give it custom settings, then there you go. In tracks, we can go ahead and change this whenever we're editing, so they shouldn't have even put that tab there. So pretty much go ahead and find your camcorder settings by looking at the manual or whatever and select what one you need. So go ahead and just keep sequence 1 for all of your projects. It'll work fine, and hit OK. So now you hit OK, and it goes ahead and wow, look at all this crap right here. A bunch of menus and tabs and panels. What the heck is going on? Well, it can be very overwhelming at first. So what we're going to do in the next tutorial is go over the entire workspace. Actually, I'm not going to have time. I lied. In the next tutorial, we're not going to be going over the entire workspace, but we're going to be picking it apart, and I'm going to be giving you guys a better idea of what all this crap is and what all these buttons and widgets do. So that's what you have to look forward to in the next tutorial, but for now, go ahead and get your project set up and make sure that you go ahead and save it, and you should be good to go. So for now, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. What is going on, guys? Welcome to your second Premiere Pro tutorial, and in this tutorial, what I'm going to be doing is showing you guys how to set up, or other words, how to customize your workspace. And when I say workspace, I mean all this area right here. All these windows, tabs, buttons, gadgets. It can be kind of intimidating at first, so let's go ahead and start tackling this. First of all, let me get my terminology straight, because all of the, hardcore Premiere Pro fanboys are going to kind of yell at me if I don't tell you this. I'm going to give it to you in the terminology that you probably understand first, and then tell you what Adobe calls it. So each one of these big squares, which you may refer to as a window, is called a frame. Now each one of these tabs, for example, there are 4 different tabs in this frame. These are called panels. So we may say windows and tabs, but Adobe, and they're technically called frames and what do they call it? Panels. There, I forgot already. So that's what they're technically called, but the reason I forgot is because I always just say windows and tabs. So, if you guys are going to watch my tutorials, get used to it. I'm sorry. But if you're like in a Premiere Pro class for college or high school or something, make sure that you call them frames and panels and not windows and tabs. So anyways, in order to show or hide one of these tabs, what you need to do is this. And you know what? Let me take a step back and tell you why they have so many tabs. Each of these tabs is responsible for doing a different thing to the video. For example, these are the tools you use in the bottom right to slice and dice your clips. This effect tab, you can apply special effects to your video. This audio mixer, you can manage the audio, make it sound really good and pretty. Just a bunch of different pieces are included other than arranging your clips in order. A lot goes into making a movie than you might think. So each of these tabs is responsible for that. So the very first thing I want to tell you guys is this. If you accidentally close one of these tabs, for example, if I'm showing you guys something about the Tools tab and you accidentally hit close, you go ahead and hit window at the top, this window drop down list, and this is your master list of all your tabs or panels. Just go ahead and hit tools and it pops back up. So if you go ahead and hit window, you see that some have checkboxes next to them and some have no checkboxes. The one with checkboxes are the one that are showing already, and one without checkboxes are the ones that are hidden. So if you accidentally close one ever, just go ahead and hit it and it'll pop back up. So with that being said, let me show you guys how to customize your workspace. For one, I don't like my tool tab over here. I like it over here, and I think that this is kind of, big. I really want to focus on this thing called a timeline. So I really just don't like the layout. So I'm going to show you guys how to move things around and just how you like it. The very first thing you can do is you can take these panels and you can move them around to different frames. So let's say, for example, that I want this tools over here. Go ahead and see these dots, or you can go ahead and click the name tools. Just go ahead and drag it over and now you can see it's highlighted wherever you want to drop it. So go ahead and release your mouse, and now your tools panel is over here. So that's pretty cool how you can move all these around. And aside from that, you can adjust the overall size of these windows or frames. If you go ahead and you scroll in between two windows or frames, you see a little parallel line with arrows on each side. Go ahead and hit your mouse, and if you drag left or right, you can go ahead and adjust the size of these windows. Pretty sweet, huh? So I'm saying, alright, I want to make sure I can read all those tabs, so that size looks pretty good to me. Now, aside from that, what you can do is you're saying, alright, I work with this audio tab a lot, and I want this front and center. What you can do is you can go ahead and take this tab, and instead of having it kind of stuck there, you can undock it. So now it's kind of stuck in place like a big puzzle. Go ahead and right click the title and hit undock panel, and what that is going to do is take the entire panel and undock it. So pretty much you have a separate window that you can work with. So I really don't like that, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of that. I just want to show you guys that it is indeed possible. And also, you can go ahead and right click and undock the entire frame, which would undock all of these tabs right here. You can go ahead and hit X, and what that would do is, say you never even needed this info tab, you can go ahead and close that by hitting the X right next to it. And like through all those things, you can pretty much set up your workspace any way you want. So say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and adjust this like this. I'm going to get rid of this metadata and move this over a little bit, and perfect. I got my workspace set up exactly how I wanted to. But here's the thing, every time I open Premiere Pro, I don't want to have to do all that crap. So what you can do is, if you want to save a workspace, go to Window, Workspace, New Workspace, and go ahead and give it a name. And as soon as you name it, it's going to go ahead and save it, and then it's going to pop up in the presets right here. And well, I guess I might as well mention the presets as well. They give you preset workspaces depending on, how people, maybe if you are the audio specialist on a movie, you're going to want to work with the audio workspace. But most of us are just going to want to stick with the editing, because this is kind of the general overall workspace. So those are kind of the default workspaces that you can use. And if you're saying this, alright Bucky, I'm watching your tutorial and I X some things out and I move this around, and okay, I move this and this. Okay, I just messed everything up. How do I like refresh it and get it back to new? If you want to get it back to new default style, what you need to do is hit Window, Workspace, Reset Current Workspace, and what it does is it's like, hey dude, are you sure you want to do this? Because it's a big decision. So go ahead and hit yes, and it's going to rearrange everything like you never even touched it before. So I know you guys don't even know what a lot of this crap even does, and we're gonna be getting to that in the upcoming tutorials. But for now, I just want to give you guys a brief overview of how to manage your screen and how to get it looking exactly how you want it to. So now that you know how to do that, we're ready to move on to the next tutorial, picking it apart and start editing some video. So we're going to be doing that pretty soon. But for now, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next tutorial. What is going on, guys? It's Bucky again, and welcome to your third Premiere Pro tutorial. So basically, in the last tutorial, what we did is we learned how to organize all the panels, how to move everything around, but now what I want to talk to you guys about is what the panels actually do. Now, before I said that each panel has a different job and is responsible for taking care of a different part of the movie. So let me go ahead and start with probably the most important panel. That's debatable between the timeline and the project panel, but you definitely need both. So I want to talk to you guys about the project panel. However, this project is kind of bland, and it's going to be really difficult to explain what everything is when we really don't have a movie open at all. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is open up a project that I've been working on. This is actually a video from my podcast, and all of this stuff is already loaded, and I know that you don't even know how to load everything and slice it up, but once you see a project put together in the final product, it's going to be really easy for me to explain everything, and you're going to be able to understand a whole lot easier. So the very first thing I want to take a look at is this project panel right here. Its main job is to organize all of your files for your entire movie. And you're saying, alright, if I'm making a movie, I only have like one video clip, right? Oh no. When you're making a movie, you have video clips, you have maybe a music track, maybe separate audio tracks, you have titles, pictures. For example, check this out. In like the first 10 seconds, I start out with a picture as my title, and then I move to this camera angle, which is one track, and then I move to this camera angle, which is another track. So those are three separate files, like in the first 10 seconds. And if I wanted to add a title or a caption under here, that would be even another track. So again, working with multiple files and being able to organize them is critical, and that's the job of the project panel right here. So let's go ahead and kind of take a tour of it. And maybe you want to follow along and have your own video files, and you're saying, alright Bucky, just tell me how to get the video files so I can kind of follow along with you. To get the video files into your project panel, or to get anything, pictures, audio clips into your project panel, go ahead and hit File, Import, and then just go ahead and scroll through, on your computer or wherever the file is, and double click it, and it's going to go ahead and import it into the project panel. So now once it's imported, what you can do is you can go ahead and select it, and once it's highlighted, it's going to show you the information of it right there. So if you're saying, alright, what one of these clips is the one I'm looking for, maybe you can tell from the information listed right there, or if you need to, if it's a video clip, you can go ahead and hit this play button, and that's going to give you a nice little preview. However, there's a better way to get a preview, and that's by double clicking it, and it'll just appear in the source. But I thought I'd tell you about that thumbnail too, since it's right there in front of you. So aside from just getting the information, if you go ahead and double click any of your sources, for example, if I wanted to name this image something different, I wanted to name it title, I would go ahead and double click the name and name it title, and just go ahead and hit enter, and that's going to rename it. So that's a whole lot easier to tell what it is, other than what was it, something .ping. It just makes a lot more sense. So you're saying, alright, I have all this crap right here. That's a lot of stuff to manage. Well, I don't mean to throw everything on you at once, but there's even more information for each piece. So say you're looking for a specific clip and you imported like 5 different clips. If you go ahead and scroll to the right, you can see stuff like video duration. Maybe you're looking for a long one, or maybe you want to make sure, I don't know. I just want to let you guys know that there's a lot more information, and if you can't find it, then you probably should be scrolling to the right. A lot of people don't even know about that, which is surprising, but anyways, thought I'd tell you about that. Now, the last couple things I want to talk about are these buttons down here. These first two are pretty much your different views. I always do everything in list view because it's so much easier. If you go ahead and switch the icon view, I mean, this is just really hard to manage, and it's just not the best way to do things. So, guys, I'm always going to be sticking with list view, and that's what I'm going to recommend. Now, this other stuff is the find is just up here whenever you want to find like title. There you go. It's really more useful whenever you have a bunch of stuff, but I only have like 6 different things, so it's really weird to explain the find thing because we can just look. But anyways, if you have a huge list of stuff, then you can either find it through there or here. A new bin is basically just like a folder or a directory on your computer. Say you want to organize this audio file and this title and put it in a folder called crap. So you'd go ahead and click this, and you would name this crap and hit enter. And now you can go ahead and drag this into crap, and you can go ahead and drag this title into crap by just selecting the icon and hovering over the name, then releasing. And now all of this stuff is in this folder. And if you want to expand it, just go ahead and click the arrow. And if you want to collapse it, just go ahead and click the arrow. So for my podcast, I'll show you guys when this would be useful. I have 2 different camera angles, one that's mainly on me, one that's mainly on her, and I put all the clips from one camera on me and all the clips from another camera on her. So then instead of having to look at all this crap, I just have to look at two nice pretty looking folders. So how cool is that? So aside from that, where was I? New bin. We have a new item. Now, you know how I said that we can add video clips and what else did I show you? Audio tracks, titles, which was pretty much the image. We could also add other things, new sequences, and I'll tell you guys about sequences later. But titles, for example, if I wanted to put a custom title over here, we can do that. Bars and tone, I'll show you that later. Black video is just a plain black video. And you're saying, well, when would be useful? When would you want your video to be all black? Well, say for example you were fading out. Maybe you want a black background, so you would put a black background behind your video. You know, it's not like you're going to edit a bunch of black videos together and make a documentary about space or something like that. There actually is a use, and I'll be showing it to you guys later on. But aside from that, I think that is pretty much all there is for the project panel. Again, pretty much to sum it up, it organizes all your files and everything you need to work with your main movie. So there you go, there it is. I hope you guys learned at least a little bit. So for now, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. What is going on, guys? It's Bucky and welcome to your 6th Premiere Pro tutorial. And in this tutorial, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to show you guys how to add some simple effects to your videos. Now, I'm not talking about special effects like Transformers 2 where a robot comes down and smashes a car over your head. I'm talking some really simple effects like contrast, brightness, how to make your video clips fade to black at the end, some simple stuff like that. So the very first thing we need to do is of course get a video clip. So go ahead and take a video clip and pull it out on the timeline just like that. So now we have a pretty cool looking video clip. Pretty cool. So say we wanted to, I don't know, do something simple like change the color of this, or maybe make it a little brighter or change the contrast. Well, what we can do is do something called apply an effect to it, and that's what the exact same thing that does. It can change it or alter it in some kind of way. So all of our effects are in this tab right here, named appropriately effects. And all the effects that we applied to the video are under, yes, guess which one, video effects. These presets are for something weird. Audio effects and audio transitions are for the audio, of course. Video transitions are for when you're moving from one clip to another clip. I'll go over that later on. But for now, say we want to do something like change the brightness or change the color of this video. We would go under video effects, and then we have all these options right here. But the most common ones are under adjust. We can adjust the color, the contrast, the levels. I work with levels a lot because it's a really simple way to make some major improvements on your video. So say you want to change the levels, and the levels is kind of a fancy way of saying the contrast of your video. You can do so in one of two ways. If you have your video clip selected in the timeline, then all of its effects are going to appear in the effects controls at the top. If you don't have it selected, then nothing's going to appear. But go ahead and select that, and you can go ahead and see all the effects controls. So now we're saying, alright, here are some basic effects that are built in already. So in order to apply levels to this, just go ahead and drag the levels from the effects panel in the bottom left into the effects controls and release. Now you can adjust the levels for this video clip. However, there's an easier way to do it, and go ahead and hit Control Z, and that's going to undo that, and I'm going to show you the easier way. If you say, alright, I want to work with auto color, or we might as well stick with levels, and I want to apply it to this video clip right here. What you can do is go ahead and hold the icon down and drag it out on your video clip, and once you have it over your video clip, you're going to see that it's highlighted. Once you have the clip highlighted that you want to work with, just go ahead and release it, and then it applies those levels to that video clip. So now you can go ahead and adjust all these settings, which we'll get to this a little later on, the level settings for this video clip. So that's how you apply a simple effect to a clip. However, like I said, they're more than just simple video effects. There's also something called transitions. But before I even get to that, I might as well mention this. whenever you're looking for an effect, say for example, you just watched this tutorial and you're saying, alright, Bucky just applied levels, so let me go ahead and find levels. Okay, where did he have it? Is it under audio? Where the heck was that? If you go ahead and in the top right here, you can go ahead and search for whatever effect you're looking for, and it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. The only thing you have to remember is whenever you search for something and you want to get something else, remember to clear it out. For example, if you go ahead and try to search for color right now and you have levels typed in there, then the only thing that are going to appear is the levels. So go ahead and clear it out, and then you have all your other stuff. You see what I'm saying? Alright, hopefully you understand. If not, well, that kind of sucks. So before I let you guys go, I'm going to show you guys how to make a cool transition. So go ahead and go to the end of your movie and add a title right at the end. Now I'm going to go ahead and zoom in and go ahead and play this and check it out. In our movie, it just goes to the clip and then it cuts to the title. Okay, pretty cool. Goes to the clip, it plays, and then it cuts to the title. You know what? I'm not really feeling it. That isn't really that exciting. I wish there was a better way of transitioning from this clip to the title other than having it just pop in. Well, lucky for you, there is. And all of those are under video transitions. So go ahead and expand video transitions, and let me think of a really easy one that's going to be easy to see on YouTube. Under page peel, go ahead and grab the transition you want and drag it in between the two clips. Now some of them are going to pop on one side or the other, and some of them are just going to go right in the middle. What page peel is it gives you the effect of one of the clips peeling off, like a scab peeling off your skin. Probably should have gave another example, but that's pretty much what it is, like a scab peeling off. And you can go ahead and adjust the length. Alright, if we play this and check it out, okay, that's a pretty cool effect, but it was just too fast. I want to make it a little longer. If we go ahead and drag the length of it, just like this, we can make it even longer. So now let's go ahead and play our clip. Check it out. A whole lot cooler than just cutting from one clip to another title or one clip to another clip. So those are the basics of how to apply effects and transitions to your videos. And in the next tutorial, what I'm going to be talking about is all these effect settings and how to master the effect. So now we know how to get the effects on our video clip. Now I'm going to show you guys how to work with the settings and master it until you got it exactly how you want it. So that's what you guys have to look forward to. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. What is going on, guys? It's Bucky, and welcome to your fourth tutorial on Adobe Premiere Pro. Now in this tutorial we're going to be going over something called the timeline, which is an extremely important part of Premiere Pro. So what the timeline is pretty much a visual representation of your movie. So yeah, we go ahead, we pop a DVD in, and we see how everything looks nice, but someone needs to put that all together. Someone needs to slice up all those clips, put a title exactly where they want it to be, and that's what the timeline is. So before we even get started, we need to import some footage, and I'm also going to import a picture. So let's go ahead and hit File, Import, and this is how you get footage from your computer to the program. So you can either click one file and hit Open, and it's going to import that one file, or if you hold down Control, you can select multiple files. So I'm going to go ahead and import 36 and I don't know, 112, just two random ones, and hit Open, and it imports both the files. Now I want to mention this. The very first time you import a file, I already edited these in other podcasts, so my computer already recognizes them, but it may say conforming on the bottom right corner right here. And there's going to be a little progress bar. Make sure you wait for that progress bar to complete, or else you might get some mistakes whenever you try to save your final video. So a lot of people have that problem. They don't wait for it to conform, and I just want to mention, please wait for it to conform. There. Now that I'm done with my little spiel, let's go ahead and import something else. So I want to import that main picture that I used as a title. So let me see if I can find that. In my downloads, it's the only thing I downloaded. So go ahead and open this, and it's going to import all of this crap into the project panel. So now you're saying, all right, Bucky, how do I get this crap from the project panel to my main movie? Well, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and select one of these clips, and by holding the icon and dragging it, go ahead and drag it on your timeline. Now, what the timeline is basically a visual representation of your movie. So you're saying, all right, so right here would be 16 seconds, right here would be 32 seconds, 48, and so on. So right now, our entire movie looks like it's about 2.5 minutes long, pretty cool. But what we notice is, all right, this movie isn't starting at the very beginning, and it isn't starting, it starts like 3 seconds in. So what we need to do is click this clip and drag it over so it starts at the very beginning. And now we can see that, alright, we do have some footage popping up. So basically, in order to move these clips around, just go ahead and drag them left and right. Or if you want to drag them on other tracks, which I'll be talking about in a little bit, you can do that by dragging them up and down. But you usually want to make sure that you start at the very beginning, so make sure you bump that all the way to the left, so as soon as the movie starts playing, your video starts playing. If you had it like this, then your movie would play for like 16 seconds and it would just be black and no sound for 16 seconds before any of your clips popped up. So go ahead and bump that all the way to the left, and now I'll give you a tour of this timeline. So the very first thing we notice is this thing right here. This is called the time display. This pretty much says, alright, at this point in time, that's where you're working. And if you want to change the point in time, say you wanted to add a title at around 15 seconds, you would go ahead and move this blue thing with a red line coming out of it. Kind of reminds me of a Spalian, what did I say, Spalian, alien spaceship with a laser beam shooting down from it. Move it to around 15 seconds, and then I would go and drop a title on track 2. So now my video plays for 15 seconds, and then the title appears, and then it plays it again. So basically, I just want to say, if you want to go to a different point of time in your video clip, you can move it around with this, and this time display just pretty much displays where in your video you're looking at. So another thing I want to mention is that these tracks, video 1, 2, 3, are pretty much like layers. You can only see what's on top. So now, if you can see, at 12 seconds, I'm displaying this clip right here because if you zoom down to my laser, that's the very first thing it hits. But now, when I look at this picture, it zooms down and it hits this picture. So that's why, since this picture is laying on top of the video, that it can't see the video. So if we were to play the movie, it would show the clip in the video, and it would show the video clip, and then the picture would cover it up for about 10 seconds, and then it would start playing the clip again, and that's why. So make sure whenever you're arranging your video clips to keep in mind whatever's on top is the thing that's going to be displayed, and if anything's underneath it, then it's going to be hidden, just like transparencies in high school. So aside from the time display and the current time indicator, I want to talk about this thing. This is the viewing area bar, and this pretty much is saying, alright, it's pretty much the zoom. So you can zoom in two different ways. You can scroll with this viewing area bar, which I hate, or zoom in and out using this little slider at the bottom there. This is the way I always zoom. This is the way I recommend doing things. So always zoom with this thing. Now this other bar right here, again, I'm guessing you already know what this is, the time. Like 2:08 means 2 minutes and 8 seconds into your movie. I don't really need to go over that. But this bar right here, you may be a little confused about. See this bar that you can kind of move around and has these white little angle brackets next to it? This is called the work area bar. And 99% of the time, don't ever touch this because it automatically fits perfectly with your movie. But for some reason, you want your final movie to be shorter than your actual editing, you would move this so it's shorter or longer. But I just want to, if you're getting like a movie that's a minute longer than it should be, that means you accidentally hit this. That's why I wanted to point that out. So aside from that, what's next? These little buttons right here, probably the only one you'll ever use is this snap button. Now what the snap button does is, say you wanted to add this title in your movie. So what you would do is you wanted to add it right at 8 seconds. So you would move your current time indicator to 8 seconds, and check this out. Whenever you're dragging this, if you have that snap button selected, it automatically pops to that line, just like that. However, if you don't have it selected, check it out. It doesn't pop to that line, so it may be kind of hard. Okay, so is it right? Oh, no, right there? No, not quite. Okay, right there? I don't know. So that's why I typically like to have Snap on, because it pops right to your line and it's going to make editing a whole lot easier. So that's what Snap does. Another thing is, if you ever want to temporarily hide a track, for example, you're saying, all right, I have my title on top of this video right here, but I really want to see what's going on in the video right here. So I don't want to remove it completely permanently, but I just want to hide it temporarily. What you can do is you can select this track and click this hide eye button, and it's called toggle track output, and temporarily it hides it. So even though the title's still there, you can pretty much see through it. So when the eye is up there, it's normal, and when it's hidden, then there you go. So aside from the hide track, you can also do that with audio, and you're saying, all right, how can you see and not see audio? It pretty much mutes the track or unmutes it. So you're saying, all right, this track is annoying. I don't want it. I don't want to delete it, but I don't want to listen to it right now. You can go ahead and click that little speaker, and it'll mute it whenever you're editing. So aside from that, you can also collapse and expand the tracks by using this little arrow. Maybe you have a bunch of video tracks and you don't want them big mumbo jumbo like this, so you might want to go ahead and collapse everything, or you might just want to go ahead and collapse the audio and expand the video. Maybe you find that easier to work with. It's really up to you. Now you're saying, alright, so I have this video clip right here, and I have this title, and then I'm going to go ahead and bring in this video clip eventually. But alright, what if I needed like another title? What if I needed another track? In order to add another track, what you would do is you would go ahead and right click here, and you would hit add tracks. And that's where you can add all your tracks, because I don't know, typically whenever I'm doing my podcast, I have one on my camera, one on her camera, in the titles and stuff. So I typically only work with 3, but if you're making a real big movie and you want more, that's how you do it. So now we have about 8 seconds in, the title pops up, and then it goes back to my camera for a little bit, and then let me move this so it goes to her camera. So there we go. That's like our mini movie that we just created. So let me go ahead and play this entire thing. We can play this in 2 different ways. Whenever we want to preview our final movie, we can go ahead and hit this play button right here, and we can stop it, or a nice little shortcut, and this is a whole lot easier, is you can just hit the space bar. So let me go ahead and hit the space bar, and we can watch our final movie for like the next 30 seconds. I'll narrate too. Alright, I'm like saying, oh, I'm so awesome, I'm so awesome. Hey, want to see a cool title that I popped up? Oh, there it is. There's my cool title I popped up. And okay, enough of that. Okay, now back to me talking, and what do you got to say about this? And then it pops over to her. Oh, I gotta say, this and that, and this and that. So there you go. There's our final movie. I actually heard the audio that you guys probably couldn't hear, so it was kind of mumbo jumbo rambling. But anyways, there you go. There's a quick overview of the timeline. Hopefully you understand what all these widgets and gadgets do now. Again, a couple of these things, like, I don't know, toggle sync lock and toggle track lock, you can understand them later when we talk about locks, and we really don't use it that often, so I really didn't want to throw everything at you, but hopefully you got a better understanding of the timeline now, and you can at least make a makeshift movie now. So for now, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. What is going on, guys? It's Bucky, and welcome to your 5th Premiere Pro tutorial. And in this lesson, I'm going to be talking to you about monitor panels. Now, what a monitor panel is it's basically an area where you can preview your work. It's basically like a mini DVD player built right into Premiere Pro. For example, if you look in the top right, you can go ahead and play it if you hit this button, and then it turns into a stop button. Or you can go ahead and, step forward if you need to, fast forward, rewind. Basically like a DVD player, except this is a really fancy one. So you're saying, alright, at first glance, these kind of look the same. This source monitor and program monitor, which is in the top middle and the top right, you can't really see a difference between them just by, glancing over them. But there is a difference, and that's this. With the source monitor right here, and if you can't see it, just go ahead and double click one of your sources in your project panels, and it'll pop up. The source monitor lets you preview a single file. So for example, if you have a bunch of different files in here and you wanted to look for one specific video clip, you can go ahead and double click each of these and they would pop up in the source. So you're saying, alright, is this the video clip I want? No, that's with Bucky. I'm looking for one with Lola closer to the camera. So let me double click this. Ah, that's the one I want. Or if you have a bunch of images that you want to find the one that fits your program, just go ahead and double click all those and be like, oh, so that's the thing. So it pretty much is like a preview of whatever file you're looking for. So the program monitor is a little bit different. The program monitor lets you preview your entire final project, pretty much lets you preview your entire movie after it's pieced together. So for example, if we go ahead and play this in the source monitor, it's only going to preview this raw file, this only one video clip. But in our timeline, after we piece together the title and this video clip and this video clip, and we go ahead and hit space, as you notice, this program is changing. That's our entire movie pieced together. So that's the difference between the source monitor and the program monitor. This one in the top middle lets you only preview a single file, and this one in the top right lets you preview your entire project. But that's not all there is to cover. I have all these dumb widgets and numbers and stuff that we have to go over, so let me go ahead and skip over these real quick. I guess I'll start with the program monitor since this is a little bit easier to understand. First of all, you have this number in yellow right here. This is the current time where you are right now. So if you're saying, alright, I want to put a title in 10 seconds, you go ahead and scroll your current time indicator right here until this reached 10 seconds, and then you might want to move your title over accordingly, like just like that or something. So this is pretty much the current time indicator. So you're saying, alright, what's this one right here? This is the total length of your movie. So pretty much this is where your current time indicator is, but this is the total length of the movie. So you're saying, alright, I want my movie to be 10 minutes long. Then what you need to do is scroll out and move your current time indicator to around 10 minutes, and then you would need to shorten all these clips to right there. So anyways, that is the difference between this first number and the last number. This is the current time, and this is the final project length. And of course, that thing in the middle that says fit, this is the zoom level. If you want, whenever you resize your panels for the video to just fit in nicely, then go ahead and leave that at fit. I do that 99% of the time. However, if for some reason you want to see it smaller, like 10%, or really big, like 200%, you can do that too. But usually, just leave it at fit, and then whenever you resize everything, it's going to go ahead and fit nicely. So aside from that, we now have all this crap. All these little things that say mark in, mark out, and all these little weird looking parenthesis things. And to be honest, 99% of the time, I don't ever touch any of these 6 buttons right here. They really annoy me, and you can just edit in the timeline whenever you need to edit right here. But I'm going to go ahead and show it to you real quick. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. And guys, if you just want to kind of blank out and don't even listen to what I'm saying for the next minute or so, you can do that because, again, like I said, I never use them. But if I just skip over them, everyone's going to be mad, be like, oh, you should go over everything. So, okay. Let me go ahead and drag out 36th and 112th, 2 separate video clips. Now, if I go ahead and scroll out, you can see that these are basically the same length. So now I'm going to go ahead and delete 112 and double click it so I preview it in my monitor. Now what this in and out point basically does is it shortens the clip, so instead of starting at the very beginning and the very end, you can shorten it. So if you go ahead and move it to 2 minutes and say mark in, and then you move it to 8 minutes and say mark out, your raw file is now only 6 minutes long. So now when you go ahead and drag 112 out, check it out. It pretty much took that raw file and shortened it. But why did I say never to use that? Because obviously you're going to need to edit clips. The reason I never like to do it like that is because whenever you're editing, I'll show you later on, you can just shorten clips really easy. So all of this stuff is kind of like messing with clips, but don't do it. Ignore what I just said. I hate these buttons right here. It's a much easier way that I'm going to show you in a couple tutorials. So aside from that, let me go ahead and talk about these buttons right here. Previous edit point, what this means is basically a cut or a fade or something. You can just go ahead and hit back and it's going to take you to that point right here. So instead of trying to line it up, maybe you zoom in and you're trying to line this current time indicator up exactly right here, you can go ahead and hit this button and it's going to jump to that previous edit point real nice and neat. Now this step back just moves one step back or one frame. This play button, of course, a lot of these are self-explanatory. It goes ahead and it plays your final movie, and then it turns into a stop button. You can go ahead and stop it. These ones are just like these ones, but the opposite. Now this shuttle and jog is pretty much like fast forward, or in this what's this one? I never use this one, by the way. Okay, this one's shuttle, this one's jog. If you go ahead and drag this, you can move back and forth in your project, kind of just like fast forwarding in a kind of weird way. But FYI, I never use shuttle or jog. I just find it a lot easier to move the current time indicator. But if you want to get some real precise movement, you can go ahead and use that if you want. So basically, the only thing I ever use here is go back to edit point and play and stop. Everything else you can kind of do with the current time indicator. Now these last set of buttons right here is useful some of the time. Whenever you want to watch something over and over, you can go ahead and loop it, and then if you play it, when it gets to the end, it's going to start all over again. If you don't have that on and you go ahead and play it, it's just going to go ahead and stop whenever it gets to the end. And it's just going to stop just like that. But if you have loop, it's going to play over and over again. This next button, Safe Margins, if you go ahead and click that, you can see two boxes appear on your screen. One is called the Title Safe, and one is called the Action Safe. I don't really know if this is a problem anymore, since, everything's kind of up to date technology-wise, but on the old school TVs, whenever you made a movie, it kind of cut out some of the edges, depending on, what TV manufacturer or maybe you're watching it in a movie theater versus your home, it kind of cut out some of these outside edges. So this is just saying, alright, if you want to guarantee that something is going to show, make sure it's within these boxes. But I never seen anything really cut out and have a big problem, so I usually just leave those off. One is for the main action, and this middle one is for the title. But again, don't really worry about that too much. The output you're never going to use. The lift and extract, those are kind of editing methods, which I'm going to show you guys later. The only other useful thing that's going to come in handy is, say you're making this video for YouTube and you want a nice thumbnail. So what you would want to do is look for a good spot where, maybe we're saying, alright, I like the way, ooh, look at the way I'm looking. Oh, it just moved. Look at the way I'm looking right now. It is excellent. I want to use this as my thumbnail whenever people search for videos. So what you would do is hit export frame. And this would pretty much give you the opportunity to take this frame and save it as a picture. So you can go ahead and export frame as a JPEG or a PNG, and you pretty much take this point in time from your movie and save it as a picture. So that's all that does. Turn your movie into a single picture. So, wow, that was a lot of crap to cover. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Probably not, but anyways, thank you for watching. In the next tutorial, I'm gonna talk to you about how to add some special effects to your movie, and it's gonna be really cool. So again, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Alright guys, welcome to your 7th Premiere Pro tutorial, and in this tutorial, now that we know how to apply effects to our video clips, I'm going to show you how to adjust and alter the effects, and it's probably going to take a couple tutorials, so just stick with me. So let's go ahead and apply a simple effect to this video clip. Let me get something that's very apparent, and when I say alright, I probably should mention this first. When I say we're going to apply an effect and then we're going to change the settings, you're like, alright, if you have the effect on there, what the heck do you need to change? For example, if we apply contrast to this clip, we want to tell the program how much contrast. If we want to say, alright, tint this video clip blue, we're going to need to tell it how blue or how much blue to add to it. So each effect has a bunch of settings to go with it. So let me make something that's really apparent. So let me go to video effects, And let me look for something. Stylize, these are some really obvious ones. And posterize, if I can find it, I remember that one. Go ahead and drag this over to your video clip and let go. And what this does is it takes that clip and it makes it into a poster, or at least it tries to. Actually, if you go ahead and turn this off, you see this Red Hot Chili Pepper poster? That's a really good example that this would be what it would be previously, like this Foo Fighters one, a real life photograph, and we would want to posterize it. So this is actually a really cool tutorial in that sense. We're going to turn this into this. So let me go ahead and, if we can see, if we maximize posterize, we see a setting called levels. Now it's pretty much saying, alright, how much do you want to turn it from reality into a cartoon? So if we go ahead and give it something like 66, this is getting towards more realistic. However, if we bring down the setting, and by the way, if you hover over it, you can click it and change it manually and hit enter, or you can just go ahead and click and slide left or right like this, and it'll change it just like that. So for example, if we change it to 3 or 4, check it out. And now looks more like a poster. So this is a real quick example of how we can change a setting on an effect depending on what we're going for. Now posterize, to be honest, I don't really use a lot. This is like kind of an effect you use if you're making a music video in the 1980s or something. So let me go ahead and show you guys how to do some things real quick. If you ever are working with an effect and you're not quite sure if you want to apply it to your final video or not, you can go ahead and hit this little FX button right here. And this is going to temporarily hide it or turn it on. So let's say, do I want that? I'm going to go ahead and turn it off, on. Okay, what one looks better? Turn it off and on and off and on. And that way you can kind of see, kind of preview it without having to delete it permanently. However, if you do want to delete it permanently, all you have to do is hover over the name, which is in this case posterized, and hit delete, and there you go. Your effect is gone for good. So again, posterize isn't the best effect, but let me show you guys an effect that I use every single time on every single video I ever made. And that is under adjust. If you go ahead and apply levels, and I'm just going to go ahead and drag this to the effects controls and drop, we get to mess with all these levels. Now, I only mess with the top two, black and white, and this is pretty much customizing the contrast of your video. Now, I don't know how good this is going to pop up whenever I do a YouTube tutorial, so I'm going to kind of blast this out. What this is pretty much is asking you is, I'm going to make the dark pixels darker by going ahead and sliding that over to, I don't know, let me say somewhere around 20, and I'm going to make the light pixels lighter. So this is at 255, which is the very top. I'm going to go ahead and drag this down to 240 or something like that. And I don't know how good this is going to appear. Let me go ahead and blast this even more on YouTube, since I kind of have to process this video, then upload it to YouTube, then you watch it on YouTube. So make sure you're watching this on full screen so you can see the difference. Again, you never really are going to use posterize. That's kind of a fun one, but this one is really good if you want to take any video that you filmed with your Handycam and turn it into an instantly better looking video clip. Let me go ahead and turn this effect off, and you see it kind of looks washed over, glazed gray kind of. Now turn it on, and suddenly the contrast just pops out. The darks are darker and the lights are lighter. So again, that's the beauty of levels. And let me go ahead and blast this even more. See, it pretty much lets you customize the contrast. Now, again, I wouldn't ever want to do it this much. This is just so I want to make sure you guys can see what's going on YouTube. But that is one that I use a lot. So guys, don't forget levels. It will come in handy. So let me go ahead and delete levels. And if you noticed, before you even apply any effects at all, any video clip you select has some effects that are already built in. And you're saying, alright, where the heck did these come from? I didn't apply these ones. Well, the reason they have these is that they're common to every single file on Premiere Pro. they all share the same four basic effects, and that's motion, opacity, time remapping, and volume. Now, some things like pictures and titles, they don't have volume or audio, so they aren't going to be there with this. But motion, opacity, and time remapping is all the same. Now, motion, if we go ahead and scroll down to the sub effects, we can see that it pretty much changes the position of your entire video clip. So you usually just want to leave that the same. However, if you're messing with it and you're like, alright, I accidentally hit something, I got that messed up, just go ahead and hit this button right here, and that's going to reset everything to normal. So again, I never really touch motion. Opacity, however, is something that's going to come in handy a lot whenever you're wanting to fade. Now, it's pretty much a transparency of your video. Now, if we just went ahead and shut off all our videos, you would see that it's black. We just have a black video behind everything. So, the transparency, whenever we put it down to 0, it's pretty much going to say, alright, it's totally see-through. If we fade it up to around 50, then it's going to be able to see some of the black behind it. And if we go ahead and turn it to 100, it's going to be totally opaque. So that's what opacity is, pretty much a transparency for those of you guys who didn't know. Time remapping is pretty much the speed, how fast your video is going to play. It's pretty much whenever you're working with slow motion or you want to give it the speeding up effect, like a fast forward effect, maybe in a car chase scene, this is when you would use that, but I really don't like to use it that much. And the volume, of course, whenever you, I don't know, maybe you want to just totally shut off the volume, or maybe you're playing a song and you want it to fade in, that's when we're going to be working with these volume effects right here. But for now, I don't really want to get into it into the next tutorial, and then in the next tutorial I'm going to show you guys how to work with something called keyframes, and it's going to make it a whole lot easier. So in this tutorial, I just want to point out that yes, indeed, there are 4 built-in effects already, and that's what they do. And aside from these 4 built-in effects, you can also apply other effects, and whenever you do, you can go ahead and change the settings of those effects by just expanding and changing the settings like that. So with all of that, that should keep you busy for a while, but once you're done messing around with the effects, make sure to check out my next tutorial where I'm going to be talking about how to work with keyframes, and that's a whole nother world. And once we learn how to work with keyframes, that's all there is to cover with effects. So I know there's a lot to cover with effects, but trust me guys, just applying some simple effects to your video can make a world of difference between the video quality, between something that you go and shoot out and it looks like crappy YouTube quality, to professional, expert looking video. So I'm going to be showing you some tips later on, but definitely stick with me, watch these tutorials, and you're going to be a pro in no time. So thank you for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you later. What is going on guys, it's Bucky and welcome to your 8th Premiere Pro tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you guys how to work with keyframes, a huge part of Premiere Pro and especially working with effects. So I know I showed you guys how to apply effects to a video or a picture or a title in the last tutorial, but in this tutorial I'm going to show you guys how to make your effects change over time. So you're saying, alright, why in the world would I want an effect to change over time? Well, let's go ahead and select this clip so we get all the effects that pop up in the effects controls. For example, if we go ahead and expand opacity, we know that 100 means full video and 0 means totally black because it's totally see-through. But if we go ahead and change this over time, we could go ahead and give it the appearance of it fading in or fading out. So that's why we want to be able to work with keyframes, because we're basically saying, alright, we want this effect or a certain effect to change over time. So let's go ahead, and the very first thing I want to do is add a title at the beginning of my movie. So I'm going to go ahead and select this clip, drag it out, and for the title I'm just going to use this picture. So go ahead, take this picture, drag it onto our timeline, and now I'm just going to go ahead and zoom in and take this video clip and butt it right up against, just like that. Now I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit further, and let's go ahead and play our movie and see what we got. So for 5 seconds we got this title. This pretty much just the image just standing there, and then pop, it goes and starts playing our video. But wouldn't it be awesome if at the beginning of our video, instead of just starting out just like that, it faded in, and then maybe before it got to the main video right here, it faded out? That would make it look a whole lot more professional. So let's go ahead and learn how to do that. So go ahead and select the title you just added, and guys, just go ahead and grab some picture off of Google or something if you don't have a title like this. And I'm going to show you guys how to work with keyframes, specifically the opacity keyframe, because that's the most obvious. So go ahead and select your title, and then the effects controls appear at the top, and go ahead and expand opacity, and then expand it again, and now you see this little bar right here. So this timeline is not the timeline for your entire movie. This is just the timeline for the duration of the title. So 00 starts at the beginning right here, and all the way at the end is 5 seconds. So again, it's not your entire movie, it's just how long that title appears on the screen. So what we need to do is say, alright, we're going to make points in time that at that point in time we want to tell you where you need to be opacity wise. So since we want to fade it in, here's what we need to do. Go ahead and start at 00, pretty much the very beginning. And we're saying, alright, at 00, we want you to be 0 opacity, totally black, just like that. And now if you can see, a little diamond appears right here. So we want to have it fade in at 1 second, or sometime around 1 second. So move your current time indicator to 1 second. You can even move this one, it really doesn't matter. And now we're going to tell it, alright, now what we want you to do is at 1 second we want you to be totally opaque or not see through at all. So now, as you can see, we told it at 00 to start out totally black, and at 1 second be totally opaque. So in between then, it's going to transition just like that. And as you can see, whenever you make a keyframe, it's pretty much a point in time you're telling it to do a certain thing. And that's when a diamond appears. So you're saying, alright, that's pretty cool. Now if you play this video, look in the top right, when I'm going to hit space, it now fades in. And let me go ahead and tell you this. In order to move your keyframes, you can just go ahead and take this and slide it to the right or left. So if I want to make this fade a little longer, instead of 1 second, I can go ahead and slide it over to 2 seconds. Now, instead of my fade taking 1 second long, if I go ahead and hit play, it takes 2 seconds long, just like that. So now we say, alright, that's pretty cool, but how do we fade out the video? Well, what we need to do is say, alright, let's think about this for a second. If going from 0 to 100% fades it in, going from 100% to 0 would fade it out. So go ahead and start around 3.5 seconds or something, and go ahead and move your time slider just like this, where you add a keyframe. So whenever you move your slider right here, it automatically adds a keyframe, basically because you're changing something. Another way to add a keyframe is just go ahead and hit this little diamond button, and it goes ahead and adds a keyframe if there's not one there already, or if you're on one already, it takes it away. So we can go ahead and do it either two of those ways. So now we got 0, 100%, 100%, and if we go all the way to the end and slide it to 0, then it's going to fade out. So if we just go ahead and scroll with our time slider, we can see that we're fading in, and then it stays at 100% for about a second and a half, and then it starts to fade out. So that's a much more professional way of working than, just cutting from scene to scene. So let me go ahead and play the movie as a whole. Fades in, stays, fades out. And again, if we want to say, alright, the fade in was a little too long, I'm going to go ahead and shorten that, and the fade out wasn't long enough, so let me go ahead and lengthen that. We can do it just like that. Now I want to show you guys how to navigate keyframes. Whenever you're working with keyframes, this is a problem that a lot of people have. You're saying, alright, I think I'm over the keyframe now, so I'm going to go ahead and hit this and remove it. Oh crap, I accidentally added another one. So let me go ahead and do this, and maybe this. Oh crap, I added another one. What you need to do, whenever you have keyframes already on there, you can navigate them to the previous and next keyframe. So if you want to automatically pop it to this keyframe, just go ahead and hit this, and it pops you on that keyframe. So now you can go ahead and remove it, or if you want to work with this one, just go ahead and hit this right arrow and it will pop you to that one, remove it, remove, remove. So that's how you can add, subtract keyframes, or move left and right. So basically the only other things we have to worry about is this velocity, which pretty much don't worry about this. In the blend mode down here, it pretty much says, alright, if you have something underneath it, how it blends with it, but basically don't even worry about those. I never use them. And unless you are making a really weird movie, then you don't need to worry about them at all. So before I let you go, now that I have some extra time, I want to show you what I do for my podcast. And this is a really cool trick that you guys can use as well. So I go ahead and I start with a video clip on track number 1. And now I pull my title on track number 2. So what I want to do is I want this title to start out just like this, and then I want it to fade in to my video. So let's say I want it to start fading out at 3 seconds, and from 3 seconds until the end, I want this title to fade out and my video to appear. So my video is underneath my title, so we're good to go already. So go ahead and select your title and expand the opacity property for it, and make sure you're about 3 seconds into the title right now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to 100% by adding a keyframe. Now it's stuck at 100% until we change it. Now at 5 seconds, or the end of the title, I'm going to go ahead and change this to 0. So now between 3 seconds and 5 seconds, it gradually fades into my video. Pretty cool, huh? And at the end of my podcast, I do the exact opposite. I fade the title back in, so it's kind of like, oh, the new Boston, check us out, my live show or whatever. So now if we go ahead and play this, check it out. It plays in around 3 seconds. It fades in to my video. Smooth, awesome transition. So again, the only thing you need to remember is these things called keyframes, what they are basically points in time. And they're points in time where you tell Premiere Pro, alright, at this point in time, this is what I want the effect to be. And it's going to stay that way until you make a new keyframe and tell it something different. So if we want this to fade up, we just go ahead and apply a new keyframe. And at the beginning, apply it just like that. So now it'll fade in, stay, and fade out. So there you go. Hopefully you got a better idea of what a keyframe is and how to work with it. And again, if you just totally want to reset everything, just go ahead and hit this and it's going to clear all of your keyframes. Or you can go ahead, it's going to clear the last thing. Or you can go ahead and just jump the keyframe, delete it, jump the keyframe, delete it, and delete all of your keyframes until you are totally cleared out. So that's all I have for you for this tutorial. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you got a better understanding of what keyframes do. Again, not only opacity, but you can do this whenever you're fading in volume. If you want to bring in a song and you want it to start out quiet and get louder and louder whenever you're bringing in a different effect other than opacity. Again, they all are the exact same. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.